Driving business.
Well, we'll be back from the break. It's exactly 8 a.m. That's in the morning. And of course, we're still driving the business, trying to see what is really transpiring right there in local business updates and also the international updates at the same time. Now, at this very time, it's time where we head into the business tips and quotes as you start your day with, of course, inspirational quotes from the people that have done business that have gone ahead of us. It's very important that you take these notes very seriously. These quotes, they have something that you can really pick from them and something very, very influential. Remember, they were written as a result of the experiences of the personnel that wrote these very, very quotes. Now, they are very inspiring, and when you read them, actually, when you really take time to ponder on them, think so deeply on them, you get to realize that they make quite a lot of sense and they really add up stuff. Now, this particular time, let's get straight into the business tips and quotes. But firstly, let's review the business tip of the day. Now, the business tip of the day says, don't limit yourself. Many people limit themselves, that is to what they think they can do. You can go as far as your mind lets you. Now, there is also this concept that says that what you believe, remember, you can achieve. Now, there is this whole concept of the science aspect of regarding the mind. That the mind, how the how far you can exploit your mind, that is in terms of getting to see what capabilities you can do. You are very, very limitless. Don't limit yourself regardless of that. It's just a mindset. Because when you really go through the richest people that have really made it out of the world, the people that we really look out to, that have really made a great fortune in life, they had that whole aspect of self-belief. And it all starts in the mind. It's a mindset issue. Once you renew your mind a certain way to think about a certain pattern, you're going to find how easy things are going to be. Yes, challenges will be there. Of course, the physical world always presents challenges that always come our way. But the most interesting aspect here is that we can actually overcome these. Actually, what helps you to overcome these obstacles is what you believe in your mind, that regardless of what I'm going through, regardless, things are not working out well. I made loss. I made a loss in the first year when I was running my business. But in your mind, you see yourself a mega millionaire in the country, improving the lives of people. Definitely, it will work out at some point in time. So mindset is very key. These are the psychological factors that we look onto the business. Besides you having all this knowledge, you know how to account, you know how to manage these in your business. By the way, trust me, you will have this knowledge, but you'll be frustrated when you're trying to apply this knowledge and it's not working out. Why? The mind. It all comes back to the mind, which really defeats all science, the applied science in business. You all do this applied science in management, but you really see things are not really working out. And actually, that's what distinguishes, that's what crosses, puts a line between the successful and the less successful. Why? Because probably you feel when you were studying in class and they taught you all these principles of running a business and things are going to work out, and the day you try to practice these very things, it did work out as you anticipated. Now, because in class probably they didn't teach you the aspect of the mind, the psychological aspect, you give up there and then. But that is not how things work. By the way, you have to be tested. If you know something, if you really think that what you were taught is right and it can work, you will have to be tested. And it's not that it will work on the first time you test it. It will take some time, and sometimes it may really not come out. It may not have the same results as intended. But if we keep positive, we keep a renewed mindset, nothing can really stop you. Nothing can really stop us. So that is a tip that is a quote that is very rather a tip which is worth pondering on the day as a business person, as a business entrepreneur, waking up to go and pursue your business, but also at the same time, I want to put out the aspect of career. Yes, it works in career. How you think about yourself in that career will determine how far you will be in position to actually reach the heights. These are realities of life, despite the fact that we have expectations which we put onto life. Okay, now away from that, now let's cross over to the business quote of the day and see what it says to us today. Now the business quote of the day says, as long as you're going to be thinking anyway, think big. That is Donald Trump, former US president. Wow, as long as you're going to think, to be thinking anyway, think big. So think big always. Don't just think for the sake, remember, thinking is a process, and there is energy that is involved. So if you say that you're going to think about something, literally what it's trying to say, why do you waste calories just to think something too small? At least waste the calories to think, and think something very big, something very, very, very productive. I think that will be in position to keep you, to give you mileage in terms of how how your life turns out, how your business really turns out in the actual aspect in there. So think big anyway. Don't just think, and of course, in that way, you will be in position to be quite very, very productive. And that is it for the business tips and quotes this morning. And now it's time to we head straight to the business, to the social media trends, where we look at what is trending, and that aspect on all over the social media, but having some element of the financial aspect of it. It's quite a very interesting aspect. And now let's get straight into the social media trends. Now, of course, if I look here, that is, we see that so the Court of Appeal has granted Ruto the go ahead to increase the minimum NSSF reduction, that is from Kenyan shillings, that is 200 to 2,000 Kenyan shillings. Now, before the salary hits your account, now the account know that NSSF, of course, is removing the 2,000 plus pay as you earn. Well, that is something actually we discussed it, and in the international news we saw that aspect. Now imagine your ECDE teacher earning 7,000, and of course that is equal to higher NSSF. That's a Swahili word. Towe 2,000. Wow. So you get to realize that now the teacher is going to stay with about 4,500. Literally, that's what it means right there. Now, appeal court judges Hannah Okwengu, Mohammed Awasame, and John Motivo ruled out that NSSF Act of 2013, which sought to increase monthly subscription contributions, that is from 200 Kenyan shillings to 2,000. That is Kenyan shillings, and of course, it's saying that it's legal and nothing stops the government that is from implementing it. Well. So somebody made a joke in there. Imagine you earning 7,000, pay as you earn is off, NSSF is off. So before you know it, you only have, that is 4,500. Well, still on the NSSF here, we see NSSF deductions from, that is from 200 Kenyan shillings to 2,000 Kenyan shillings. Actually, somebody's asking themselves a question. What good thing did you see in this Nabil Ruto? This Nabi Ruto, to elect him, Ruto must go. That is, anyway, opinions from the people. That is from Kenya in there, and what they think about that decision regarding that very matter. Now, Ruto must go. I know he's been given that is a go ahead to increase the NSF from 200 to 2,000, and yet other deductions have not been put into consideration. Now Zakayo wants to flee to fleece Americans again in this tough times. Well, hypocrites, it says they don't really care about Kenya's. They don't really care about Kenyans that are living. That is from hand to mouth. Well, that is the government critique right there. Okay. Now, the Court of Appeal judges, that is Hannah Okwengu, Muhammad, that's Wasam, and John Motibo, have given Ruto the go-ahead to increase the minimum NSSF deduction. That is from Kenyan shillings 200 to Kenyan shillings 2,000. Well, we're seeing it there. Now, if you earn 10,000, you'll now get 8,000. And now, that's before pay as you earn and other deductions like NHIF. Well, that is all up to, of course, those opinions coming in from our brothers in Kenya regarding the current move by the government to increase the NSSF. And it's all that is trending today. Now, we see Court of Appeals judgment on NSSF board trustees versus Kenya tea growers and 14 others is delighted, and others is delightful read, and of course a blow distraction of the employment and labor relations, that is court's judgment. Now, if proceedings are conducted in a court without jurisdiction, they are null. Well, that is still opinions. Of course, we can't give opinions regarding that. And now, we still now see on the teachers right there saying that the Court of Appeal in Kenya has ruled in favor of the National Social Security Funds Act 2013, which requires mandatory contributions to Kenyans towards that is their security upon retirement. Well, that is the teachers' updates on NSSF deductions increase plan and away right there. So, what do you really think of that? Is it really good? Is it for the good of the Kenyans, or what is that? Now, the government is set to forcefully increase NSSF monthly contributions from 200, that is Kenyan shillings, to 2,000, that is Kenyan shillings in that. Well, that is still Kenyans, of course, saying all that. So that is really a trending topic regarding that aspect. And now we're getting to see that, of course, Kenyans speaking about the NSSF increase, that mandatory contribution. So what do you really think about that as a viewer in Uganda right there? And of course, for those around East Africa, what is really your take? Tanzania, what do you really think about this matter? How does it connect? How does it even relate to that? Well, that is and more. Of course, we shall be anticipating more updates regarding this very matter as different political leaders, different policy implementers and policymakers will be giving opinions regarding this very matter. Now, away from there, let's head to an update, SMB update. And this time around, we're talking about the closure. It's a back to school week, remember that? And now we're getting to see the legislatures and report for committee, that is of education, over the hiking school fees. And of course, the parents is something which has been really of great concern. And of course, later on, we shall be joined with somebody within the private school association, trying to see how the private schools are really working this out to ensure that they harmonize, they create what we call an equilibrium, that is between the teachers, between the schools and the parents, so that both can benefit, not squeezing in quotes, squeezing each other in terms of financial exploitation. Now let's get into this particular insight real quick. I'll be returning back with more details.
Regarding the school fees problem, I think the Education Act 2008 is very clear, gives powers to the school management committees to come up with a meeting into agreement with the parents to regulate the school fee structures. And this must be in line with the information and guarantee from the COW and the DEO. However, even the Education Act still gives the Minister for Education powers to regulate the school fee structures. So I think this should be another irony which government is using for failure to streamline the education sector, but not necessarily because Parliament has dismissed away the report from the committee, so that even government will fail to regulate the school fees. This is a mandate within the Education Act, where the committees, management committees of the respective schools, the COW and the DEO, the minister is also mandated to do the same task. Meanwhile, as the report awaits from Parliament, I believe government, through the minister, would come up with a report to clarify on the matter. The situation right now is alarming, whereby the government institutions are almost lame. They are leaking. They are inconsistent towards servicing the interests of Ugandans towards education. The motivation is poor, is lacking within the government schools. That's why parents resort up taking students or their learners into private schools. And surprisingly, private schools are instead and indirectly punishing the local Ugandans as to why they are failing to take their learners into government schools and instead resort to taking them into private institutions. That is the explanation for the huge and the higher tuition and the school fees which the private schools are demanding. Currently, one school, some of the schools are charging between 3 millions to 5 millions. So the cost for taking a student or a learner in a nursery school, in a primary school, in a secondary school is far higher, quadrupling, if not doubling, it is quadrupling the charges for educating a student at university, educating a student who is mastering or offering PhD. So such charges, I think they are abnormal. The cost for paying a learner for one term is far bigger than the cost for marrying an expensive woman. So I don't understand even the scenario and what Ugandans have to do. But it is all in the mandate of government to come up with a clear statement and regulate the education costs. Failure to do so, then government is eligible to improve and motivate its own institutions so that it can attract the parents to take their learners into these government institutions.
There is a concern about the hiking of school fees by the school administrations and some parents' bodies concerned. But it is also true that Parliament is concerned, and as parliamentarians we are concerned and we are pushing that school fees is not increased from what it was before. But now there is an increase, and the schools are opening today. It may be a precedent that those schools, and they are putting a law that before you enter the school, you should have paid and carried to zero. That may set a precedent that parents are already caught because they cannot keep their children at school. But I think there is still some relevance. When we finally debate this report and we pass resolutions, the law that we shall have passed, the guidance that we shall have given will be put into effect by term 2. But also there may be, my view would be that those schools which would have jumped over because already they have a warning, they have got some caution not to increase, they should be able to refund or carry over the overpayment into the next term. They should be able to carry over what will have been overpaid by the parents, by the children, into the subsequent term. But we should fight hard, tooth and nail, see that the schools do not increase fees, do not escalate the situation because parents' income has not been adjusted by any means. That's what I should think we should do. And the state also, the Minister of Education, and all other stakeholders should check these schools and put an ultimatum for them not to increase school fees like they are planning.
Unfortunately, we are in a small recess, and it was intended, it was intentional because we are supposed to be discussing the report of the Committee on Education before the term opens, and we are forced to leave Parliament, the premises of Parliament. We cannot discuss anything on the floor because we are in recess. And I think it is because the big guns in government are in the education sector as a business. The wife to the president, Janet Kataha Museveni, is a proprietor of so many schools in this country. The junior minister, Jesse Muyingo, also has very big schools. So how do you expect them to allow us to discuss how we can reduce school fees in this country, how we can tame this? Unfortunately, still, I have also realized that there is no political will. We have schools that are borrowing at 26% per annum. That means if you borrowed 1 million, you have to pay 260,000 as interest. I think that is a lot of money, and I think it is the burden is transferred to the parents, and I think this is very unfortunate. The other point to note is also that State House has a bursary scheme which is benefiting only a few people from his family and friends, and I think they do not care what the rest of Ugandans go through, because for them they have the advantage, they have the privileges before them.
I want first of all to thank parents who have kept the children well to reach such a time when the schools are opening. And I want to implore you that the school timetable is made to run for the year, and you cannot just simply adjust it because of certain circumstances, unless it is something which is difficult, like maybe COVID. That's when you can stop the program. What I know which is in the offing is about the harmonization of school fees. The structure of school fees is not moving in tandem with other schools. Every school is charging its own. Whereas government says that we liberalized, but certain sectors will leave certain children not being taken to good schools. So as Parliament, we've taken an initiative and taken this matter to the committee to see what kind of report they can bring us, which is all-inclusive. The report which came was only from the central region. It was excluding up-country. So my rural people in Manafa would also want to see the kind of structure we're putting in place. So we asked Parliament, Parliamentary Committee, to go and expand so that they bring a report which shows all regions and how the fee structures are coming, so that when we come back from recess, we're able to deal with that. So I want to implore you parents that whereas you have paid fees, whether full fees or half fees, the term is still continuing. I know certainly when we make adjustments and make out a proper regulation, the second term will be much better. So I want to say, be patient, go back to school, because school timetable has a limited time frame. Issues of school fees is a continuous problem. I know that the next term, by the time this report comes, we should be to make something better in the next coming term.
Fee structure, Cabinet is still considering the issue of school fees in schools. Very soon, the Cabinet will be concluding the discussion, and the public will be alerted or will be able to know what exactly is going to happen. But meanwhile, as students go back to school, we are asked, or schools are asked, not to charge anything beyond what was charged last term. The minister, while releasing the PLE results, made it very clear that Cabinet will soon conclude the discussions and the public will be let to know. Secondly, headmasters have been notified not to charge anything beyond what was charged last term until further guidance comes from Parliament.
Well, that was an insight that is regarding the high fees, and of course, which is really causing quite a lot of concern towards the parents right there. And that's the Parliament trying to intervene. And last week, of course, before the schools opened, the Parliament had petitioned something, had presented something regarding the hiking of school fees, but something which was really rejected and put out of there regarding that. And according to what the members of Parliament are saying, just right there, can I call it what their opinion regarding this matter, saying that some of the school owners are the people that have the big positions, so that's why they're not really willing to discuss the aspect of the fees. But really what got my attention from here still was the aspect of the schools borrowing at 26%, something really quite not fair. And 26%, that means, because some of these schools are operating on loans to run the different activities within the institute. So you find that they're going to be forced to actually get loans. And now the higher the interest rate, that means they also need revenue to survive, you know. So that means they're going to really end up charging the high fees towards the students. At the same time, also the school requirements also increasing in a way of sorts. So something which the parliament is really working towards to ensure that there is fairness in terms of distribution, in terms of how the parents are taking back the children to the schools, and that is some of the major key highlights regarding that. So it's something hope by the time it may really take long to be implemented for the parents out there, but still at the end of the day we shall be seeing something to make it a much more efficient and effective to the school goers. Now it's all up to the private schools associations to ensure the private school owners, what are they doing about this? And of course we shall be getting in touch with some people in regarding to that, school owners, to see what they really anticipate and what is their role in this. If government is not doing anything regarding subsidizing the school fees, what are they as school owners, private school owners, doing about this matter? Remember, these are schools that are not under government, and when government is funding, in most cases, when funds come in, they are largely allocated to the government-related schools, not the private schools. So they more like have an independence in a way that they operate. But then we shall be getting to find that and more very that's towards the 9:30. Well, let's get into a short commercial break, and when we return, we shall be heading straight to the business in sports and what is really happening. That is in the world of entertainment. Stick around. Good morning.